The night Jasmine Crockett made Trump lose control. Picture this: a glittering Palm Beach estate, crystal chandeliers casting golden light across marble floors, and enough champagne to float a yacht. This wasn't just another wealthy donor party. This was a strategic Trump fundraiser where only the most loyal, the wealthiest, and the most influential were allowed past the front gate. Everyone expected the evening to go according to script. Polite applause, predictable speeches, and donors writing six-figure checks. But nobody expected Jasmine Crockett to walk through those doors. And absolutely nobody expected what happened next. The unexpected guest. When Jasmine entered that ballroom, heads turned, not in recognition, but in confusion. She wore an elegant dark emerald dress, nothing flashy, just quiet confidence. A woman dripping in diamond whispered to her husband, "Is that one of the moderators from MSNBC?" He just shrugged. But here's what they didn't understand. Jasmine wasn't there by accident. Someone on Trump's staff had extended the invitation, maybe as a gesture, maybe as a dare. Having a known critic in the room gave the illusion of openness. But no one actually expected her to show up. She didn't mingle or work the crowd. She simply walked to the third table on the left, sat quietly, and began reading the room like she was studying every face, every conversation, every uncomfortable laugh. The setup: Trump worked the crowd like a seasoned performer, moving from table to table, collecting compliments. People laughed too loud at his jokes. One man called him Churchill level. Trump ate it up, but underneath the glamour, there was tension, the kind that doesn't start with yelling, but with sideways glances and forced smiles. As dinner began, Trump took the podium. "Good evening, friends, patriots, and real Americans." He started. Standard opening. But then he began targeting, not by name, but everyone knew what he was doing. "This country doesn't need more victims," he declared, his eyes briefly landing on Jasmine. "It needs victors. People who wait, not people who cry every time someone disagrees with them." The room grew uncomfortable. Even some donors looked down at their plates. But Jasmine, she didn't flinch. She leaned forward slightly, hands clasped, watching. The moment everything changed. Then Trump went off script. "I hear people say I'm offensive, that I scare people. I scare people because I tell the truth. They say I don't respect women. Please, I've done more for women than most of these so-called activists." His eyes found Jasmine again. "I don't care what color you are. You work hard. You love this country. You're welcome. But don't stand there and pretend America's a problem. That's what losers do." The silence was deafening, not because of what he said, but how he said it, testing, baiting, waiting for a reaction. A man beside Jasmine whispered, "You don't have to listen to this. If I were you, I'd walk out." She turned to him calmly and said, "I know you would." And then she stood. The confrontation. Not dramatic, not loud, just deliberate. Her chair didn't screech. Her napkin stayed folded. But that simple act of standing was louder than anything she could have said. Trump paused mid-sentence. "Congresswoman Crockett," he said, clearly amused, "did I say something too real for you?" Nervous laughter rippled through the room. Jasmine stepped toward the edge of her table, making herself visible. She locked eyes with him. "No," she said, "not too real, just too empty." The room fell dead silent. Trump raised his eyebrows, pretending to be impressed. "Oh, we've got a fighter." But Jasmine wasn't finished. Her voice was even, controlled. "I wasn't going to speak tonight. You know that. I was invited here, and I accepted. I sat here. I listened. I gave this room respect even when it wasn't returned." She paused, letting that sink in. "But since you brought me into your speech, I'll answer you. You say America needs victors, not victims. That's fine, but you seem to think the two are always separate. Some of the most successful people in this country had to survive something first, sometimes from people like you." The unraveling. Trump tried to laugh it off. "You're trying to make this a pity party. You're good at that." "You call it a pity party," Jasmine replied. "I call it lived experience. And I'm not here to make anyone comfortable. I'm here to tell the truth." Then she delivered the blow that changed everything. "You say you've done more for women than activists. I've seen how you talk about women. I've heard the tapes. So have they. They just pretend not to. A murmur swept the room like wind through dry grass. Trump opened his mouth, but she wasn't done. You want applause for saying you don't care what color someone is, but every time you speak, there's a target. There's always a group, and it's never the one sitting in front of you writing six-figure checks. She turned toward the donors now. I came here because I wanted to believe there was still room for truth in a room like this. And tonight that truth is this. Some of you are clapping for things you don't actually believe just to stay close to power. The threat was clear, but Jasmine didn't back down. She held a final press conference in a church basement where she played 14 seconds of footage that changed everything. It showed the inside of a control room, men in polo shirts tracking street footage from Los Angeles. A counter-label behavioral surge index flickered with numbers. Then a voice cut through the audio. We're getting a strong reaction spike from Sector 4. Camera 3 shows mother and child retreating. Log it under visual shock, passive response. 14 seconds of Americans' fear being catalogued like a lab experiment. I don't need you to believe me, Jasmine said. I need you to ask why we've accepted so much without asking who benefits. The video passed 10 million views in 3 hours. The hashtag #VisualShock trended globally. This wasn't just activists spreading it. It was moms, veterans, nurses, ordinary people who'd never talked politics before. 2 days later, Luis Serrano disappeared. No arrest, no statement, just gone. Jasmine's office was broken into. Nothing was stolen, but they'd searched through everything, looking for files she hadn't released yet. The House Ethics Committee summoned her for a hearing. She walked in alone and answered every question, offered every file. When asked why she didn't go through proper channels, she replied, because people were being manipulated in plain sight, and the channels you're referring to are the same one protecting the manipulation. They didn't expel her, but they didn't clear her either. She became politically radioactive. Donors fled. Staff quit. Colleagues stopped returning calls. But her audience only grew. She kept showing up community halls, college auditoriums, podcasts, anywhere people were still paying attention. Because once you've seen the machinery of fear, once you've watched it lie and adapt in silence, there's no going back. The most dangerous truths are the ones that make you ask what else you've ignored. Jasmine Crockett proved that sometimes one voice willing to risk everything can crack open a system built on our silence. The question isn't whether they are still testing us. The question is, what are you going to do about it?